Arthur, last week we were talking with Dr. Sergei Melkonian about the Russian-Armenian experts dialogue that was held in Yerevan
Right,
on February
right.
24. So this is where the Russian and Armenian experts discussed the state of relations between the two countries. You were also there, so we thought
Yes,
we'd ask you the same questions we asked Dr. Melkonian. Can you tell
sure.
us what your overall impressions were of this dialogue?
Well, I thought it was a very interesting and sincere exchange of opinions. It made a lot of waves in Armenia. There was a lot of resonance. A lot of it was very negative because some of the media channels associated with these authorities reacted very negatively to the kind of the word of truth that came from that meeting. The Russian side was very open and very clear. In fact, a little bit made me a little bit uncomfortable saying that you guys paid the price for your Western reorientation. Karabakh was the first part of it. You already paid that, and you're going to pay some more. And it was very clear, kind of in your face kind of statement.
Were
And
they alluding to Sunik by that?
well, they were alluding to something. Yeah, could be
Hmm.
Sunik, could be Sevan. Somebody, another expert I met a couple of days ago said that maybe it wouldn't be Sevan. Maybe they will start with Sevan, and you know that if they reach the lake, they're within I think 10 kilometers.
Yeah.
If they reach
I
the
believe one of
coast.
the
Mm.
I believe one of the speakers said Western Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
So
That's
maybe all of
good
Armenia.
memory. Good memory, Hovik. That's
Yeah.
exactly what he said. You will live in Western Azerbaijan, which means there will be no more Armenia. The dangers are that they will reach Sevan, then Sevan will become a joint kind of interstate lake, which means they will be entitled to half of everything that it has, which means that if there will be no fish, the ecology will be destroyed, the lake will be destroyed. And then, of course, much more importantly, they want the southern corridor, and the West supports them. So there are a lot of dangers involved,
Essentially, a Treaty of
right?
Alexandropol V2.
Oh yeah, I was talking about it, I think, for the last 3 years, that there's going to be a Treaty of Alexandropol. What puzzles me is that we have a population in Armenia that somehow thinks that it doesn't concern it, it doesn't concern them. And I think their plan is to emigrate. Naira Zorabian just mentioned a number a couple of days ago saying 600,000 Armenians filed for a green card lottery. If I participate in the green card lottery, so 600,000, that's one third of our population. And there's 140,000 Armenians left in the last few years. I forget exactly how many years, like 3 years maybe. That's that. And I'm also very puzzled by what's happening in the diaspora. I mean, your guys' audience is the diaspora Armenians. I'm wondering, like, what are they thinking? Is everybody just sitting at home and just watching this happen in front of their eyes, calmly kind of taking it in? Apparently, there are some people in diaspora who support this regime. So the questions are not for the Azeris. They are behaving very logically. They treat us like a defeated Nazi Germany. The questions are for our community. What are you guys thinking? Like, what are you hoping for? That's the interesting part.
So, Arthur, going back to the panel discussion that we had, according to some Russian experts on that panel, Russia is currently conducting a damage control policy with regard to Armenia. In
Mm.
other words, a passive policy. Clearly, I mean, they see their troubles in Ukraine and elsewhere as strategic and primary, but to us, it's dumbfounding when they are able to delegate or delay anything they do here until that is resolved. At least that's the common narrative of why they are passive. At the same time, some of the experts on that same panel also blamed Armenia for the worsening of relations.
Right.
We also heard Lavrov's statement at the Antalya conference, where he basically said that if the majority of Armenians support Pashinyan, then we will take more decisive actions,
Yes.
which is in line with these threatening statements. So my question is, were you able to detect any introspection by the Russians? Do any of them accept that their own policies may have contributed to damaging the Armenian-Russian relationship? Or should we even worry about it because they just think they're an empire and they get to do whatever they want?
As to what they think, I think a lot of them admit that they made some mistakes, and I pointed it out also, saying that when they didn't condemn the Azeri invasion of Armenia, that was a mistake, and it was used to the maximum by the local anti-Russian propaganda machine. So I did point it out to them several times, in fact. Yes, they made some mistakes, but of course, blaming Russia for everything when we have a government that surrenders Karabakh without getting anything in return and declares that Karabakh is part of our neighboring state. And then during the war, during the ethnic cleansing, says that it doesn't concern us. we're not interested, it's very hard to blame Russia for anything when our own government has betrayed its people. And that's what they're saying. Like, do you guys expect us to be more Armenian than you? That's their standard argument. I'm not interested in their justifications. The reality of it is that we've ruined our relationship with Russia. The Azeris have not. They have an excellent diplomatic strategy. They have a very qualified diplomatic corps. They have great relations with Russia, great relations with the West. Everybody needs them. Everybody wants them. And we are like the poor relative waiting in the hallway. So we're back to the 19th century, early 20th century. Nothing changes with us. So yeah, the Russians were very aggressive, very straightforward. You're gonna pay some more, and they are prepared to not care if we go down. At least that's what they're telling us. We can keep our part of the Caucasus. You guys can go down. We'll make a deal with the Turks because you're completely unreliable and you don't know what you want. That's what they're telling us.
So that's what I wanted to actually tease out. Is it that Russia will, in spite of what happens, or in an act of spite, try to actively hurt Armenia geopolitically, or do they see it as an expense that they can get rid of protecting Armenia if Armenia decides to make trouble and it's already essentially like going against Russian interests and going against the alliance, a strategic alliance, at least that we have on paper?
I think they're prepared to do both. I don't think they will actively intervene and try to salvage anything they have here. I think they're just going to, show us what the consequences will be for this kind of behavior. There are some rumors already that some economic sanctions are in the pipeline. So there will be some economic sanctions coming. I think they'll just punish us for it, and then if we still persist in it, they'll just withdraw. I think they will. They're not going to fight for us. They're certainly not going to fight Turkey and Azerbaijan. Turkey is a very important country for them and for the West. Turkey is part of their strategy of creating a counterbalance to Western influence. I mean, I think it's a mistake, but we can't tell them what their policy should be. They are the ones who decide that. They have a very strong pro-Turkish lobby. Our behavior has given them all the grounds for considering us a completely unreliable and irrational state. So a lot of them are inclined to cooperate with Turkey, and if need be, I think they'll withdraw from here. I don't think Russia is going to launch any kind of a major intervention here.